Welcome to Overtime and Ace, where we talk about relevant construction topics in the industry today. Today, I've got our COO and President Matt Ellis with us. Thank you, Matt, for being here.
Not a problem.
So we're going to be talking about data centers today, and this is something that has been a huge topic in the construction industry. Some of you obviously will know this, maybe some of you not as much, but it is encompassing a very large amount of the construction industry right now. So we figured what better way to kick things off than to talk about data centers. And we have an article online on our website about data centers. We actually got a couple about data centers. And so if you would like more information, you can give us a call, or you can go over to our website, go to the toolbox and go to our article section and just search data centers, and every article that we have will come up so you can read those. For everybody out there, Matt, what exactly is a data center?
So at its root, data center is basically a giant server warehouse. There's obviously some more complexities to it, but with the advancements in AI, I know everybody's heard the buzzwords around AI and data centers, but yeah, it is effectively a giant server processing facility that could range from 20,000 square feet to 1 million square feet, depending on the size. Any of these data center construction, projects that we've seen can be upwards of several $1 billion to build these. Effectively, it's a giant servers that are hosting various information, coming in, coming out via cloud-based, mostly cloud-based, or briefly living within the, within the data center space footprint, whatever it might be. But yeah, just imagine your small little internal server at your work times 10,000. I mean, they're massive.
Essentially, data centers, that's essentially data storage. Ultimately,
correct.
Data storage at its core. And so I mentioned it just a second ago, but kind of go into the significance of data centers in the construction industry right now.
Right. Yeah. If you read any kind of AGC article that comes out, if you read any kind of ABC article that comes out, Dodge has said a lot about them. So any of these entities that write publications for the construction industry, you've heard data center, data center, data center, data center, data center. It's the buzzword, just like AI is the buzzword. They are making up a significant portion of backlog in the construction industry right now. And when I say a significant portion, I'm not talking, 5%, like double-digit percentages of backlog in the construction industry right now. So we have a client, a very large client, one of our largest clients, who as recently as a few months ago, 3 months ago, I think 75-80% of their entire backlog was in data center construction. And we're talking about a company that does billions of dollars of work with a B. So it is significant. There are a ton of them going up right now. It seems, again, I reference back to AGC, ABC, all these publications. It seems like anytime we see one of those publications come out, Montana is building a 1 million square foot data center. Kentucky is, we're building one right outside of Louisville. They just announced recently in Eastern Kentucky that they're going to build a data center down there. It's constant, and they're everywhere out there right now.
And it's not slowing down anytime soon. It's just going to keep ramping up.
Correct.
As time goes on.
Does not appear to be slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah. And so you talk about buzzwords. Another buzzword, specifically when it comes to data centers, is the security aspect. So
correct.
Tell us a little bit about the security aspect of a data center.
So as you can imagine, because they're all the rage, your big companies, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, they're all, and then there are dozens of others, but those are your big dogs. They are building data centers at rapid paces. And so when you get to the level of the Microsofts, the Facebooks, or Meta, Facebook, and Amazon, obviously they're using proprietary information. So not only what's going to be in the data center in terms of what it's storing and how it computes and everything, but also proprietary HVAC systems, proprietary building systems, all that stuff. And so they're very, very careful about who they bring on site, why they bring those people on site. So security is a really big issue. You have some of these that are being built specifically for the federal government, which encompasses a whole nother set of requirements, which I think we're going to end up talking about a little bit. But yeah, there's definitely a race to do it, a race to make them, or I should say a race to build them and do it quickly and efficiently with proprietary data. So in an effort to do that, you have to have some security protocols in place to do so.
Sure. Yeah. When you're talking information and storing of information, security is going to be top level. And when people think security specifically with data centers, they most of the time are thinking IT related. So they're thinking IT security, which is absolutely probably the top level of security in some regards with some data centers, but also the physical security aspect just as much.
Mhm.
Once it's built, specifically for everybody that's watching this, and specifically for us, the construction security aspect is sometimes even more important than the security aspect on the back end of it. So talk a little bit about the construction security aspect.
So yeah, so the construction security, if you're talking about uh, an armed security guard or an escort or whatever on a data center construction project, they obviously are going to ensure that the perimeter of the facility is secure, and we have known access points.
Yeah.
It's not one of these things when you're talking about, again, we talked about how massive these are. When you're talking about a building that's operating on, a 1 million square foot facility or whatever it might be, we're talking about multiple hundred acres or more, even potentially 1,000 acres. So we can't have, access from anywhere. And so we have specific access points. Generally, we've got a guard shack there. It could go as far as having badges to scan in. So you scan your badge in to access the facility at the beginning of the day. You scan your badge out. The access control specialist takes physical possession of that, locks it up in a lockbox. That way we can monitor the people that are going in and out on a day-to-day basis. We're talking about physical cameras around the facility, monitoring everything. You could have material storage areas. So, generally speaking, on a site that large, we've got a lay down area that may be kind of put out of the way a little bit, maybe over by the job trailers, keep the material out of the way. And that's fine. We can still do that. But even where the material is, needs to be a controlled environment. So it's not uncommon to have a fence, barbed wire fence with, fabric on the fence there to keep that, so that an access control specialist only allows certain people who have the right to go in there to get steel or, HVAC components, electrical components, all this process equipment stuff that's going to go into that data center ultimately to be built, as a finished product.
And we're in a very unique situation, specifically in regards to data centers, because we have worked on and are currently working on lots of different aspects of data centers, from the pre-construction, from the
Mm-hmm.
site staff on the construction side, but then also we have our security side where there's a couple different data centers commercially and federally that
Mm-hmm.
we're working on. Commercially, specifically, we have the whole site where we're the security aspect.
Yeah.
We own that. But then on the federal side too, so different regulations, different requirements. So just kind of maybe hit on the high notes of the difference between the security aspect on a federal data center versus commercial.
Right. Well, again, you think about what is going to be stored. A lot of it boils down to what is going to be stored. And once you start getting into storing people's personal information, storing people's healthcare information, storing people's financial information, it introduces a whole labyrinth of requirements. And that can be both for commercial and for federal government. From the commercial side, it's kind of that requirement, kind of what I talked about with like the access control specialist, what you're actually going to be hosting there. So from that perspective, you may not necessarily have to have a top secret clearance to be an access control specialist or just a general surveillance technician on that particular job on the commercial side. Not saying it's not possible. We do have top secret personnel on ours, but we also have some that are not on the federal government side. So anytime that the federal government is going to host any of their information in one of these data centers, then it introduces a whole another ball of wax and security requirements. And the security on that becomes 2, 3, 4-fold. One, it's very likely, highly likely, that you're going to have a construction surveillance technician that's going to be physically watching the install of said construction products. So they're going to be watching you hang drywall or put up studs or whatever to make sure that there's not an unscrupulous foreign entity or an adversary that is putting a bug in a wall or doing something that can compromise the integrity of what the data center is supposed to accomplish. So it can get to that level. You still are going to have access control specialists. You're still going to have people walking around. You're still going to have all the same or similar security requirements, but it's highly, highly likely that you're going to have to be top secret cleared. And so there's a process to all that, but you're talking about personnel that have been vetted. We've gone through it here. Getting top secret clearance is not it's not easy. It takes a long time.
Easy or quick.
It takes a long time, but a lot of prior military, a lot of people that have done federal contracting or Department of Defense contracting. But by and large, most of the men and women that are out in some capacity on these, even the electricians that might be going out there, unless they have a monitor, that it can walk around with that crew of 3 or 4 or 5, probably can't even work on the job site, or at least they can't work in specific areas. We've
alone at a minute.
Correct. We have seen where unless you're a top secret electrician, there might be a certain room that you can't even go in, regardless of if you have an escort or not. But on the federal government side, it introduces a whole another layer of complexity. Highly, highly likely that you're going to have some level of top secret clearance. And there are multiple levels to it. And the more complex information and data that the government's going to host or hold there, the higher the scrutiny on what that top secret clearance is going to be.
Right. So in a nutshell, it's, commercially, you're talking about access to the site. People either having access or not having access to the site. And if
Correct.
not a badged personnel that is having access on a daily basis to the site, then they're going to have a monitor with them. They're going to have a rover, depending on what they call it, with them at all times.
Correct.
For specific areas. On the government side, probably 99%, you're going to have a top secret clearance to be on site. And if you do not have a top secret clearance, you're going to have a monitor with you the entire time. There's a little bit more lenient on the commercial side than the federal. Yeah. And like you said, they're going to be CSTs for sure.
Yes.
There could be some CAGs there.
That's true.
As well, guarding the laydown area. Your delivery locations specifically are going to be a huge concern. And like you said before, the footprint of the site itself is so massive that, and for me, I think it gives us a lot of peace of mind just in regards to how they're building these. And we're very thankful to be involved in that process on both sides of it. But the fact that there is such an emphasis on the security aspect, even while it's being built, that's definitely a good thing, not a bad thing.
It is. And I think it's important too when you say a CAG, for those people that don't know, that's a cleared American Guard. They can be armed or unarmed. We've seen both. Again, when you have a cleared American Guard, you're talking about a person that has a top secret clearance of some capacity, in addition to the requirements and the certifications necessary to carry a firearm. And so that kind of tells you how serious they are about the security within these data centers, which is very telling. And kind of, like you said, where we come in and try to help people satisfy those requirements.
Yeah, and I think overall, when we were thinking about doing this episode specifically, obviously it's always good to have more information about what's going on in the industry. Data centers, huge topic in the industry, but I think also just for our current clients, previous clients, maybe future clients, if you're watching this and you just maybe want to subcontract on a data center, or you're thinking about bidding data centers, a little bit more information for you to think about before you actually put a bid in, or after you win a bid, but when you're ready to get rolling on things. If you don't understand the full picture in regards to the security of a data center, you could be in a world of hurt when it comes to cost, number one, but then also just whether or not you can actually perform the contract itself. And, you don't ever want to have somebody not be able to do something because they didn't know the requirements. So all that to say, if you need help with anything, call us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about our experiences with data centers that we're currently working on, that we've previously worked on. We kind of do have a very interesting hand in data centers right now on all the projects that we're on, because we are doing multiple different things, not just security related, but also in the actual construction side of things too. So we'd be more than happy to talk to you, to help you if that's something, or if you want a data center project and need some security personnel, or just need planning. A ton of planning involved there too. As Matt said, our client, one of our largest clients, some of those data center projects that they currently have on their books aren't starting for years.
28 are some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not a quick hitter by any means. Thank you so much for the time, man.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. As always, if you guys have any questions or need help with anything, be more than happy to talk to you. Go to our website, reach out to us on the phone. We'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you and try to see if there's something we could do. Work with experts, work with ACE. Thank you, guys.